On Second Thought, episode 329, brought to you by Hook'em.com. Our good friends at Bud Light. I'm Cedric Golden, and as usual, I'm joined by the Duck, Kirk Bowles. Duck, the madness is upon us, and when March Madness approaches, we've got to go find one of the big dogs. And we found a big dog, and I know she's never been called a dog. I know that. First time for everything. ESPN's Kris Budden joins us. She's basketball, she's baseball, she's football, and she's a
And
podcast host as well. Sideline Pass with Molly McGrath on a little hiatus right now, but there's lots of episodes on iHeart and Google and Apple. Kris, what's up?
Coming to you live from Kansas City, where I'm gonna have to start paying taxes in this town. Between that and Kansas, the amount of time that I've spent here over the last year, but it's good. I mean, it's as we start diving into this tournament, trying to wrap your head around the format is different, and then what it will look like next year, and the women also being in this building. It's been we're just getting things started. It should be a fun week.
so you just tell your family goodbye, what, February or maybe December or August?
Yeah, pretty much. Football season isn't as bad because I leave Thursday night or Friday morning and I can usually get back Saturday. Basketball is gone Friday, come back Tuesday.
Ooh,
So that's
it's a
yeah,
challenge.
and also this is spring break week, so I have put my kids in camp all week so that my husband, I'm still married by the time I get back.
Good plan. Good
Yeah.
plan. Oh, well, let's talk some hoops. Men's tournament starting up. This is taping on Tuesday and airing on Thursday. So some games will have been played. But who would you say has the most to gain and the most to lose in the Big 12 tournament, Kris?
Ooh, I mean, the most to gain is any team that doesn't currently have a bid right now in the bracketology. So, your teams that are playing on a Tuesday all have something to play for. I don't really think teams have a lot to lose. I think Houston, whether they win this whole thing or not, has
Doesn't
secured
matter.
themselves a 1 seed. I mean, Kansas isn't even playing McCullough or uh,
Dickinson?
Dickinson because of injuries. Whether let's say they won a first round game and they did play them, like there's not really much to gain from them as well. I think if Baylor won the whole thing, it could help them move up some seed, maybe Iowa State as well. I think it's also just really cool for, like, let's say a BYU makes a run. For the newbies in this league, Houston already celebrated the regular season championship outright. It's funny. I've been on radio the last couple of days, people asking, what does a conference championship mean? And I think it's different for each program, right? Like that was a really big deal last year for Texas, given the coaching changes and for Rodney Terry to be able to celebrate cutting down those nets. That was a huge deal for Houston to win it in the regular season. Listen, if Kansas won this thing, I don't think it's as big of a deal for them. But if a team like a BYU or an Iowa State, just given the proximity of Kansas City to Ames, I think this still means a lot to a lot of schools in this league.
I think K-State has a lot to gain, and of course, playing Texas, so they may already be out. I don't know at the taping of this, but um, I don't. I'm not a big fan of the conference tournaments. I'm not. I'm not, and it's just more basketball, more for people who are already tired. And I know we can say the same thing about conference championships and football. What's the buzz around Kansas City right now for this? Because I know it's an annual thing, and it's a basketball area. Is there some good buzz? Because the Big 12, I'm sorry, it is the best basketball going in college right now. So is there a big buzz around in this conference tournament?
Yeah, I always have thought that there's always been a great buzz. Part of it is the setup of being in the Power and Light District, and everything's walkable, and the fan fest that they do. It's also a chance for, fans to come see their teams play. If, like, let's say you're a West Virginia fan, but you don't live anywhere near Morgantown, it's a chance to see your teams. And I remember being here during COVID when it got shut down in the middle of the tournament, and the fans that were so upset that had made these huge trips to be able to come here to be able to see basketball, and those tickets all went to waste and they weren't able to see. So to me, like, I still love it. It's still a chance to see a lot of basketball and a lot of really good basketball. And there's, despite, the teams that already have their bids locked up, like, there's still a lot to play for. Like, I don't know what happens by the time this thing airs, but Mike Boynton's team, like, is he still trying to fight for a job? What does that look
Oh,
like, depending
wow.
on how they play on Tuesday? So to me, like, I still really enjoy Champ Week and the way that it, plays out with all the other tournaments going on at the same time. Like, it's cool the way that, like, did someone steal a bid, and, like, certain conferences getting their due at certain times.
You mentioned Kansas. Kansas is such a curious team this year. I mean, 10-7. When would they ever lost close to 7 conference games and
Ever.
really, really fighting injuries and stuff? I mean, they just want to get out healthy as they can. But do they, we all know they don't have a whole lot of depth. They're not a great 3-point shooting team. Do you see them in trouble? Could they drop a seed, Kris? And could you see them pretty much being in trouble as an early exit possibility in the NCAA?
Kansas, you're talking about?
Yeah, Kansas.
Yeah, I do think when they're all healthy, that it's the best starting five, one of the best starting fives in the country. And this is the
Mhm.
hard thing about basketball. It's such a long season. I sat there and saw them in person beat UConn, and I saw them in person beat Houston. And that was as good as anyone that I've ever seen play this season when Kansas dominated Houston early in that game. But then it's just, they were a different team on the road. Hunter Dickinson hasn't looked great at certain times. Like, you can see Bill Self getting frustrated with him. But I also look back at 2021, and that Kansas wasn't the best team in the country for the majority of the regular season. And then they go and they win the national championship. So I do believe in this team when they are healthy. What I don't know is, how healthy can you get in a week and a half? We saw Hunter
Right.
Good
Dickinson
question.
shoulder dislocated. I don't know how that feels right now. I know that Kevin McCullough is not going to be fully healthy. Like, this is not something that's going to be solved by the time they hit March Madness. Can you get by 2 games at a time, a little bit of rest, 2 games at a time, and kind of work your way through? We'll see. But I do know that talent-wise, what they have matches up with the best teams in the country.
Mhm. Right.
I talked to Scott Drew last week, and he was after the Baylor game. You were there, Kris. I didn't get to talk to you, but I did see you cringe in horror when Dylan Dessou went down right in front of you.
Mm.
You're at the press table, but more on that in a minute. Scott Drew said 11 or 12 Big 12 teams should get in.
Easy.
I mean, why don't we just have 2 Big 12 tournaments? I mean,
Well, and
that's a
that's a
lot
little
of
bit of, like, why
teams,
you
dude.
see Greg Sankey and them, asking for tournament expansion, so that these other Power 5 teams that get left out. And there's a whole thing about, like, computer tricksters and the way that the computer looks at the teams in the Big 12. But I mean, night in, night out, every single game is a quad 1 opportunity. And, you sign up to play this schedule, and that's why Iowa State didn't put together a big non-conference schedule. In terms of the strength of schedule. But if we were to fix things, and this isn't the question that you asked, but if we were to fix things for college basketball, because I am a little concerned for next year, when you start adding the college football playoff is going to go an extra, 2 weeks into the season. For some reason, people don't have the ability to be able to watch football and basketball at the same time. So now
PIP.
so now you're taking 2 weeks more of the season that you're not able to, that you don't have the average fan watching. And you missed those great games. Like, no one really watched UConn and Kansas. It was on a Friday night up against the ACC championship game, or the Pac-12 championship game, excuse me. So if you took some of those tournaments, we were used to seeing the Big 12 challenge, SEC challenge, and that was right in the middle of conference play. So they do away with that. And now it's the Big 12 and the Big East, and there was great matchups, but they were before conference play started. If you move some of those and be able to put those, February 12th, I think it would bring in a lot more viewers. It would make things more interesting. Gonzaga went to Kentucky in the middle of conference play. Like, it gives you a break from the monotony of what conference play is, and adds some extra juice in the middle of the season like we used to have.
Yeah, I'd start the season January 1 or at least maybe December 15th or something. It
Yeah,
starts
but
so
then you're up against the Masters. Like there's a whole calendar to like you can't push this thing back anymore because the whole point is this is when the championship is, and then the Masters starts 3 days later on CBS.
But if you
Brooks
keep
thinking
pushing
like
it back,
he's
do it in
thinking like
May.
a sports writer, Chris. He wants to be able to cover his football here
Yeah.
and cover his college basketball here and then his college
Basketball gets
baseball.
ignored. I hate that.
No,
Nobody
it
pays
doesn't. It's
in
just not football.
January.
It's not getting
Yeah.
ignored.
Well, like you said, Chris, you're talking about expansion, 96 teams possible. I
I
mean,
don't think it'll be 96. I think it'll
Too
be
many.
somewhere in the 70s. You can't dilute an already great product.
no.
And it sounds like it might be announced here soon. Like there is I think 76 was kind of the idea, or 78 of being played. You can't back it up a whole extra weekend. 'Cause you already are asking fans on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the first two rounds to dedicate all day to watching college basketball. And that's
Mhm.
fine. Fans are willing to do that. You can't do that for a whole extra weekend. You're diluting the product.
And I don't want to get rid of that 16-1 possibility like we've seen twice. And,
Yeah.
32 teams got to buy 96 versus 33 upset just doesn't have that same ring to it.
This
So,
is also my argument, and I get annoyed with the people that are like, well, football has all these bowl games, and a 6-6 team can make a bowl game. That's great. A bowl game is a reward at the end of the season to go to the Bahamas or Hawaii or wherever. It's not a path to a national championship. Literally every single team in college basketball in Division I has a path to a national championship because
This
of
win.
the automatic bids. Yes.
It's a tournament. It's a tournament.
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
going to talk
that.
to you about Houston a little bit. I mean, there are a lot of people that say, well, Houston just doesn't have the offense. Can they win 6 games? Yeah, they play great defense. Cedric and I are both in the Cougars camp. We love them. I think Ken Palm says their offensive efficiency rating's 11, and they're number one in defense. Do you think the Cougars can win it all?
I do. I think that they're an incredibly tough team to prepare for, particularly in a tournament on short notice. You had to be incredibly athletic, a great passing team to be able to beat them. Are they the most fun watch? No. Like I was there for Houston, Iowa State, and it was basically like a football game being played on a basketball court. But they do have the scoring. Jamal Shed and LJ Cryer and Juwan Roberts. My concern is what happens if you get into foul trouble. And we've seen that at times. That we saw it against Oklahoma. Cryer's on the bench. I believe Sharp was out, or maybe it was Francis was out with 5. And there's a lot of things that don't get called in regular Big 12 play because of how physical this league is. What happens if you go with different refs in the NCAA tournament and they start calling things a lot tighter? That's more of my concern for Houston.
Yeah, I've heard you mention that on your show before. I think it's dead on correct. They are vulnerable to refs, and because it is a physical style. I don't know how many leagues play as physical style as this is, and so I mean,
Hey, speaking of vulnerable,
Hmm? Okay.
Texas Longhorns. They're good. They're good when
Are.
they're good. When they're good, they're as good as anybody. Kirk and I both written about this. They need that third guy. Is Tyrese Hunter good enough to step it up when the lights are the brightest? Because you've seen a lot of Big 12 games and you've seen teams take away Max Asmus. Dylan Dessou is going to get his, but is Tyrese Hunter good enough to get these Horns back to where they were last year when Marcus Carr was leading this charge with a balanced attack?
I mean, top to bottom, this isn't as talented as last year's team. The Timmy Allens, they had a full roster. I think Tyrese has the talent. I think Tyrese has the talent to do it. But everything that we had seen out of that freshman year at Iowa State, we haven't seen in Austin for whatever reason. I know he has dealt with, some issues health-wise that he dealt with last year. We saw that creep up in the Houston game where like his body would lock up. He's done some work to try and figure out what has caused that. I think the talent's there, just for whatever reason, it hasn't translated into this.
Yeah, they're kind of hitting their stride a little bit. They won 3 of the last 4. They, won at Lubbock. They won, some big games, but they haven't been consistent. You're right, and there's been a lot of pressure on Rodney Terry. I don't know how you would assess his first full year as a coach, Kris.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard. You lost some recruits that you were hoping to get as well. I mean, Tim, and this is the hard thing for me is like we put so much stock into 1 year of this season, and like they still will probably, hopefully, make the tournament, and you get in, and who knows what happens. Which is another beef that I have. Like we put too much of hiring and firing people based on tournament runs. This whole thing is not the best way to determine the best team in the country. It's a great television watch, but it should not be why we hire and fire coaches. I would say like give him some time. You're playing in the best league in the country. You lost a lot of talent last year. You had some recruits that did not end up coming this way. Like, let's see where this thing plays out. I still think he's a hell of a coach.
Last one from me, and can't let you out of here without talking a little bit of football. Steve Sarkisian just turned 50, just got a big bag, selling his house for $6 million, moving into Kirk Boser's neighborhood, a much bigger house. Did they overpay for Sark? Is he worth 10.3 mil a year? Or wait, not 10. Well, is it 10.3? That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
10.3 a year.
Double the salary.
I do. We talked about this the other day on the radio. Give me a coach that hasn't won a national championship that you think is going to be, like now that Nick's gone and you're not allowed to say Kirby, like who's the next guy? I put Sark in top 2. Along Mike Norvell would be right there with them. I think absolutely. You took this team in 3 years to the playoffs. Who else could you tell me that would deserve that kind of money? And the money's all relative, right? Like everyone else is paying astronomical and the money just keeps going up. Texas has money. So if you have the money, you want to keep your guy, like he could have gone to Alabama probably. Like if I'm Alabama, that probably was my first call.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So you got to pay the guy that stays.
And so, they're kind of listed already, Kris, as co-favorites with Georgia. So, are you going to pick the Longhorns to win it all next year? Are you going to whet the appetite?
Let me get through spring football. Someone said to me the other day, we're on radio, and someone was asking a spring football question. And like, I'm such in this silo of basketball right now. And then comes softball and baseball. And I was like, oh, it's March. Oh, spring football has started.
It is right here upon us. Hey, before that go, do you have a Final Four pick or an early winner? Are you allowed to look that far ahead?
You know what the hard thing is? It's like you've seen these teams at their best and you've seen them at their worst. And so I'm the worst person to be asking about like how far a team could go. I really do think this is the year for Matt Painter. I think there's a lot of really great storylines of coaches that haven't won national championships, Kelvin Sampson being one of them. Is this the year that he gets it done? Is this the year that Matt Painter gets it done? I do think this Purdue team with Zach Edey, better guard play than they had last year. I think this is the team that can get it done.
Don't leave out Rick Barnes, our guy.
Barnes too, yeah. I know, and I'm married to a Tennessee Vol, so if you knew that I left that out. Listen, we've been saying year after year, great defense. When can we get a scorer on that team? And Dalton Connect pours down 30 all the time.
He breaks my heart every year. I'm staying away from Hickory this year. I'm staying away.
And you gotta have to love Dalton Connect, dude. He's the Caden Clark of men's basketball.
Yes, yeah.
So man, it's been great.
We so appreciate it. Thank you for this. We know you're busy. We know you're busy, but thanks for stopping in and gracing us with your presence. Are you going to be doing any spring football or pro timing days?
Don't think so. I have some Longhorn tennis that I'm going to be coming down there to do some play-by-play for Longhorn Network for tennis.
Very nice.
And by the way, keep an eye on Peyton Stearns, who played. She was played #1 for Texas for women's tennis. She just played Sabalenka. She ended up losing to her in Indian Wells, but she's going to be a superstar on the WTA tour eventually.
Kirk saw her last week.
He was at the ATX Open and didn't quite do it. She's had some terrible draws, but she's a rising star.
Got a heck of a forehand. Like she's fun to watch.
Whew, she'll crush it. So enjoy the barbecue up there in KC. All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Love you. Bye-bye.